Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. So lovely to have the chance to speak to you. How does it feel to be here today and to be nominated for this award?
Oh, it's incredible. You know, we were here in 2019 with the short film, and you know, to be back here 2 years later after what we've just gone through and be nominated for 11 categories is it's absolutely mind blowing. You know, I just had a little cry downstairs because I'm just a bit overwhelmed by it, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I'm super proud of everyone that worked on the film, and you know, everybody's nominated, and not just, you know, those categories, but everybody involved in the movie. It was a huge team effort, a collaboration between everybody, and it couldn't have happened without every single member of the team and the family. You know, we created a family. So.
And for people who aren't familiar with the film, can you just give us a brief introduction? Tell us a little bit what people can expect if they're going to watch it.
So Boiling Point is it's about one sort of evening in a restaurant, and it focuses on various different characters, but mainly Stephen Graham's character, who's a chef, head chef, and he owns the restaurant, and it's just an hour and a half in real time, all shot in one take, about, you know, the things that go on in that hour and a half in a restaurant environment, and it's, you know, pretty tense. It's a sort of thriller vibe. So yeah, I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah.
And you assembled such an incredible cast, but in particular Stephen Graham. I mean, arguably one of the UK's most versatile actors, just such a range of roles. So what appealed to you about working with him, and how were you, like, even more impressed than you expected to be on his performance?
I mean, I've known Stephen for many years as a friend. We worked together years ago on Band of Brothers, and you know, he is just like, he's like a brother to me, and you know, to work together was just the most incredible, inspiring experience of my life. You know, we did the short film together, and then the feature. It's just like, you know, I've worked with actors I was an actor, and you know, I've worked with actors, a lot of actors, but there's something about Stephen. It's just so. He's so passionate, and he cares not just about his character, but about everybody else's character, and he cares about everybody on set. He doesn't want any special treatment. You know, he doesn't want trailers. He doesn't want all that stuff. He just comes in and he just wants to do the job, and he just embodies it. You know, he's an incredible human being.
And can you talk us through maybe some of the highlights and challenges of making the film, particularly being in such a closed environment? I just thought being in a kitchen all day, I think for most normal people sort of think, what is the appeal? But then having to film in there.
Yeah, it was a challenge in itself, because we shot the whole movie in one take, the whole thing. So it was, you know, that was a challenge in itself. But then, you know, finding the restaurant was also, you know, that was a challenge. We had to find somewhere that we were able to, you know, go in and out of rooms and in and out of the restaurant. So we found a place in Dalston, which is one of my best mates' restaurant, called Jones and Sons, and he let us have the place for 3 weeks, I think, and he closed it down for us, and we were able to be in there for rehearsals and all that type of stuff. So that was essential for this film, to be in the space all of the time, you know. But yeah, it was a, you know, huge challenge. I worked in restaurants as a chef for 12 years during my time as an actor, when I needed to make some money. You know, I worked in kitchens, and that's where the idea came from. I sort of, you know, experienced most of the things that are in the movie. All of the things actually that are in the movie I've experienced, or, you know, personally experienced or witnessed. So yeah.
And do you think that it sits almost within a particular genre, the kind of one-take film? I mean, I loved Woody Harrelson's, probably is one that springs to mind most obviously, but there's a few more out there. So what is specific about that? And I guess when people are watching it, you know, is it useful for them to have that in mind, because it seems all the more impressive almost that it has been in one take? Yeah,
I mean, when we set out to do the one take, it wasn't like we wanted to do it as a spectacle, you know, to, like 1917, which is not one complete take, but it's beautiful. You know, the cinematography is absolutely stunning. But with our movie, I didn't want it to be like, look how clever we are. You know, I wanted it to be a secondary thought to the audience. Because when you're in that world, you're on a service in a restaurant industry, it is one take. You don't stop. You know what I mean? You talk to someone, or one of your colleagues, or a customer, and then you go away, and then you go. So it's all. So that was the idea behind it, really, and wanted to immerse the audience and make them sort of have almost like a tense feeling of not being able to take their eyes off the screen, as opposed to being like, look how clever we are. You know?
And what do you think people take away from watching a film like that? You know, I guess it's kind of taking through that roller coaster journey, the tension, but you know, what do you think people are going to feel when they walk away from watching it?
Well, I think people will you know, from the sort of hospitality side of it, you know, people who work in the industry, I hope they'll be able to recognise themselves or recognise somebody who's worked with or you know, a part of it. But then people who've never worked in the hospitality industry, definitely eaten in a restaurant, or they certainly will in their lifetime. So, you know, for them to go, oh, I didn't realise it was like that, you know, and the sort of mental health struggles and the addiction side of it and stuff like that. The industry is changing and it's getting a lot better, but, you know, there's still parts of it out there. So, you know, I want people to go on a ride and just come out of it with questions and, you know, and to be talking about it. And, you know, that was it.
And just finally, how does it feel to be putting a film out right now, considering the 18 months we've just had? And how do you feel about the health of the, you know, independent British film industry? Do you think, you know, there's such an appetite out there, isn't there, to get back in cinemas? But equally, all the big blockbusters are kind of flooding the market once again. So how do you feel about all that?
Well, I think it'll start to level out. You know what I mean? The British film, I think, is going to thrive. I think it really will. And you know, about the cinemas, people are fed up of sitting in the room, in the house, watching telly, watching Netflix or whatever, you know, which is fantastic in its own way, but there's nothing that beats going to watch a movie in the cinema and having that experience and that vibe and the sound and, you know, just, it's, yeah, I personally think it will thrive. Because I want to go back to the movies.
Thank you so much for your time and congratulations again.